You want to know why some men drown in wealth yet remain invisible, powerless, and despised. You've seen it: billionaires whose names vanish, who are feared by none, and whose riches cannot bend a single will. Money is admired, yes. Money can buy comfort, followers, or illusions of loyalty. But power, real, unshakable power, is something far rarer. Understand this. True influence is never minted. It is forged in strategy, perception, and inevitability. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are driven not by gold alone, but by fear, respect, and necessity." A man with endless coins but no aura, no leverage, no calculated control, is a man who serves others' whims, not his own. In this monologue, I will reveal why wealth without strategy is hollow, and how the most powerful men in history wielded far less money than you imagine, yet commanded kingdoms, armies, and legacies that outlived empires. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn why money alone will never make you powerful, why the rich are often slaves to those who understand control, and most importantly, how to transform wealth from something you possess into something that obeys you, as Machiavelli revealed. True power isn't in owning gold. It's in mastering the people who desire it. By the end, you will understand the subtle alchemy that turns influence into inevitability, and how to make people act because they cannot imagine saying no, not because you paid them, but because your presence alone bends their choices. Stay with me until the end. Comment below. Power flows beyond wealth. Let's begin. You think a fat bank account is the ultimate key to power. That with enough cash, you can bend the world to your will, command loyalty, and lock down your destiny. It's the modern world's great article of faith. Wealth is the final word on influence. Cash is king, and the one with the most gold makes the rules. We see it everywhere. In business, in politics, even in our own ambitions. We chase promotions, play the market, and build our own little empires, all assuming we're building a fortress of power, one golden brick at a time. But what if I told you that 500 years ago, a book laid out the real blueprint for power, and it warned that this belief is a fatal flaw? What if a Renaissance philosopher revealed that your money isn't your greatest weapon, it's your greatest weakness? Niccolo Machiavelli, the father of modern political strategy, and a man whose name became a synonym for the dark arts of power, would argue your wealth is a trap. He'd say it makes you a target, gives you a false sense of security, and makes you dependent on forces you can't control. Those who rely on money alone, he would claim, are destined to be ruled by those who understand the true, brutal nature of power. The famous Medici family, the merchant princes of Florence, seemed to operate on a simple principle: use money to get power, then use power to keep the money. But Machiavelli saw the crack in that logic. He understood that while money is a useful tool, it can never be the foundation. So, let's dismantle the modern myth of money and power through the cold, clear eyes of Machiavelli. We'll explore why he believed wealth without strength was an invitation for disaster, and discover the three true pillars of power that have stood the test of time. This isn't abstract philosophy. This is about the raw mechanics of influence that govern our lives, from the boardroom to the world stage. If you've ever wondered why wealth seems to slip through some people's hands while others command the world with ease, the answer lies in the forgotten wisdom of a man who stared into the abyss of human nature and didn't blink. The first principle, the great deception. Why we mistake wealth for power. In our world, the scoreboard is written in dollars and cents. We're trained to see a high net worth as proof of a life well lived, of influence earned. We admire the billionaire not just for their yacht, but for their perceived freedom, their ability to shape industries, bankroll politicians, and seemingly operate by a different set of rules. This idea that money equals power is so deep in our culture that questioning it feels like questioning gravity. But what are we really seeing? We're seeing the symbols of power. The private jets, the towering skyscrapers, the headlines about another billion-dollar deal. These are the visible results, the glittering facade. Machiavelli would tell us to look past all that and check the foundations. He'd argue that we're mistaking the fruit for the root. Power, in his view, isn't a static thing you can pile up like gold. It's a dynamic relationship built on control, influence, and perception. Money can be part of that, sure, but it's a fickle and unreliable part. The psychological pull of money is undeniable. It gives us a tangible way to keep score. It promises security, a buffer against the chaos of the world. It provides comfort and opens doors. We believe that if we can just stack up enough of it, we can buy our way out of any problem. Need loyalty? Put people on the payroll. Need protection? Hire the best security. Need to win an argument? Fund a massive PR campaign. The thinking goes, every problem has a price tag, and power is just being able to pay it. This is the great deception. It's the belief that power can be outsourced, that you can buy it off the shelf. Machiavelli saw this as the logic of a merchant, not a prince. A true leader understands that power is not something you have, it's something you wield. And the most important instruments of power can't be hired. They have to be cultivated. They must be your own. Think of it as a gilded cage. A person of immense wealth who relies only on that wealth lives in a beautiful prison they built themselves. They're surrounded by people who are loyal not to them, but to their bank account. Their security protects the assets, not the person. Their political influence lasts only as long as the checks keep clearing. They are completely dependent on the systems and people their money is renting. The moment the money's gone, or the moment a higher bidder comes along, their entire world of perceived power collapses. Their friends vanish, their loyal employees look for a new master, and their protection evaporates. Machiavelli would say that money doesn't grant power, it just creates dependencies. And worse, it lulls the wealthy into a state of complacency. They forget how to fight, how to persuade, how to inspire, because they're used to just paying for the result. They have a tool, money, but they've forgotten how to be a craftsman. This is the core of the Machiavellian critique. For him, power isn't bought, it's conquered. And that conquest is never over. It requires constant vigilance, strategic thinking, and a deep understanding of human nature. The person who gets this will always have the upper hand over the person who thinks they can just write a check. The second principle, the Machiavellian trap. How money makes you weak. To rely on money is to build your house on sand. That was Machiavelli's stark warning to any ruler, and it echoes even louder in our capital-driven world. He saw reliance on wealth not as strength, but as a symptom of a deep structural weakness. It's a series of traps, each one designed to strip you of real control while giving you the illusion of it. Trap 1. The unseen cost of hired loyalty. This is maybe the most famous of all of Machiavelli's warnings. In The Prince, he tears into the idea of using mercenary armies, calling them useless and dangerous. He says they are disunited, ambitious, without discipline, unfaithful. Why so harsh? Because their loyalty isn't to you, it's to their paycheck. And that creates a fatal flaw in your foundation. Machiavelli's logic is cold and brutally practical. A mercenary fights for a paltry wage, which is never enough to make them willing to die for you. In peacetime, they drain your treasury. In wartime, when you need them most, they either leave you or run from the foe. Even worse, if your mercenary captain is actually good at their job, they become an even bigger threat. Their ambition will lead them to try and take power for themselves. And if they're incompetent, they'll just ruin you with their failures. It's a lose-lose. So what's the 21st century version of a mercenary? It's not just a soldier for hire. It's any critical function of your power that you outsource to someone whose loyalty is purely transactional. Think of the CEO who relies entirely on external consultants to set their strategy. The consultants are skilled and expensive, but their real loyalty is to their firm and their next client. They have no skin in the game for the long-term survival of your company. You become a dependent, a perpetual client. Think of the politician who relies on an army of pollsters and strategists who work for the highest bidder. These people are experts at the game of politics, but they're loyal to the game itself, not to the person they're serving. Their allegiance can be bought. Think even about the friends who are only around when you're successful. They're attracted to the benefits you provide. But when crisis strikes, when fortuna or luck turns against you, they're the first to disappear. They were never loyal to you. They were loyal to what you could do for them. In every case, the dynamic is the same. You're paying for a service, not securing commitment. Loyalty is rented, not owned. This makes your power structure fragile. A true leader understands that the most critical functions, security, strategy, loyalty, must be built from within. They must be your own arms. Trap 2. The dulling of the strategic mind. Wealth is comfortable. It softens the hard edges of life. But in the world of power, comfort is a killer. Machiavelli believed that power is maintained through struggle, vigilance, and skill. What he called virtù. A leader must always be training, thinking, and anticipating, like a general studying maps, even in times of peace. Money short-circuits this whole process. When you can buy your way out of problems, you stop learning how to solve them. When you can hire others to fight your battles, you forget how to fight them yourself. Wealth creates a buffer of comfort that dulls the senses and weakens the muscles of power. The wealthy heir who inherits a business empire but never had to build anything is a perfect example. He might have the CEO title and vast resources, but he often lacks the virtue of the founder who started with nothing. The founder had to be resourceful, cunning, and ruthless. The heir, cocooned by wealth, often loses this edge. He sees the business as numbers on a spreadsheet, not a living thing that must be constantly defended. He gets complacent, and eventually, a hungrier rival with that raw virtue will come and take it all away. This is the tragedy of the leader who relies on good fortune rather than skill. Machiavelli notes that those who come to power easily often have a hard time keeping it because they lack the underlying strength. They haven't been tested by adversity. They're like a swordsman who has only ever practiced with a wooden sword. The first time they face a real opponent with a real blade, they crumble. Trap 3. The burden of being a target. To be rich is to be seen. And to be seen is to be a target. In Machiavelli's world, a prince known for his huge treasury but not for his strong army wasn't seen as powerful. He was seen as a prize to be conquered. His wealth was a beacon attracting every ambitious neighbor, an invitation to be plundered. The same is true today. An individual or a company that is conspicuously wealthy but lacks real defenses becomes a target for all kinds of predators. You become a target for rivals. A company with a huge pile of cash but little innovation is a prime candidate for a hostile takeover. Its wealth is seen as an underutilized asset a more aggressive competitor could put to better use. You become a target for the state. Governments always need revenue, so they naturally look to where the money is. High net worth individuals and profitable companies face intense scrutiny, targeted taxes, and regulations designed to take a piece of that wealth. You become a target for the envious. Public opinion can be a dangerous weapon. A reputation for immense wealth, especially if it isn't paired with a reputation for strength or fairness, can breed resentment. You're no longer seen as a leader to be respected, but as a dragon hoarding gold, inviting would-be heroes to come and try to slay you. Trap 4. The poison of insincere affection. Finally, and maybe most insidiously, Money creates the illusion of being loved. A wealthy person is surrounded by flattery. People laugh at their jokes, admire their ideas, and rush to do their bidding. It's easy to mistake this for genuine affection and respect. Machiavelli would call this a catastrophic error. He famously asked, "Is it better to be feared or to be loved?" His answer was that you should want to be both, but since that's hard to do, it is far safer to be feared than loved. Why? Because love, as he saw it, is held by a chain of obligation which, since men are wicked, is broken at every opportunity for their own profit. In other words, love based on the benefits you provide is fickle. Fear, however, is held by a dread of punishment which never fails. Fear is based on the other person's self-preservation, which is a much more reliable motivator. The leader who relies on money is trying to buy love. They offer high salaries, lavish perks, and generous donations. This can create a pleasant environment, but it doesn't create real loyalty. An employee may love their high-paying job, but that love will evaporate the second a competitor offers a 10% raise. This false love is a poison because it clouds your judgment. You start to believe your own hype. You think you're beloved for your wisdom when you're really just valued for your wallet. You can't tell the difference between honest feedback and flattery. Surrounded by yes men, you become blind to real threats. This is the ultimate weakness of power, so isolated by its own wealth that it can no longer see the world as it is. The third principle, the three pillars of true Machiavellian power. If money is a trap, then what is real power? For Machiavelli, the answer wasn't in what you could buy, but in what you could command. It wasn't in resources, but in resolve. He identified three core pillars that separate the fleeting power of the merchant from the enduring power of the prince. Pillar 1, the supremacy of your own arms. This is the bedrock of all Machiavellian thought. The chief foundations of all states, he writes, are good laws and good arms. But then he immediately says, you cannot have good laws where there are not good arms, making it clear which one comes first. For Machiavelli, the ability to project force, to defend yourself, enforce your will, and deter enemies, was the non-negotiable prerequisite for power. Without it, everything else is just talk. But he makes a crucial distinction. This power cannot be rented. It must be your own. A prince must rely on his own citizens, troops who are loyal not because of pay, but because they have a stake in survival. They fight with a different kind of ferocity, not for a small wage, but for their homes, their families, and their future. Their loyalty is organic, not transactional. In a modern context, your own arms is a metaphor for your core, undeniable strengths. It's the part of your power that can't be bought or turned against you. In business, your own arms are your proprietary technology, your unique intellectual property, or a company culture so deep it can't be copied. A company that outsources its core R&D or its customer relationships has given away its arms. It may be profitable for a while, but it has no defensible territory. A competitor can't replicate the institutional knowledge and loyalty of a team that has bled for the company for a decade. In your career, your own arms are your unique skills, your irreplaceable experience, and your genuine relationships. If your value is just a certification that thousands of others have, you are a mercenary. You're replaceable. But if your value lies in your proven ability to solve a specific set of problems and a network of people who trust you, you have your own arms. Your power is portable. It lives inside you. Pillar 2, the economy of fear, respect, and reputation. Once you have a foundation of force, the second pillar is psychological. It's about managing how you are perceived. This is where Machiavelli's most infamous advice comes in. As we noted, he said it is much safer to be feared than loved. I know what you're thinking. That sounds awful. We're taught that leadership is about inspiration and winning hearts. Machiavelli saw this as dangerously naive. He argued that love is fickle and depends on the goodwill of others, something you can never control. Men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, covetous, and their love will vanish at the first sign of trouble. Fear, however, is a currency you control directly through the dread of punishment. It's a more reliable motivator. Someone might break a bond of love for personal gain, but they'll think twice before crossing a leader they fear. But, and this is the nuance everyone misses, Machiavelli immediately warns that a prince must, above all, avoid being hated. Fear and hatred are not the same thing. Fear is a form of respect for your power and the certainty of your response. Hatred is born from arbitrary cruelty and injustice. Fear keeps people in line. Hatred inspires them to rebel. So how do you inspire fear without being hated? Machiavelli gives two big rules. First, he must keep his hands off the property of others. And second, he must not touch their women. He makes the chillingly cynical point that men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony. This means as long as you aren't seen as stealing from your people, they can tolerate a great deal of severity. Your cruelty must look necessary for stability, not for your own sick pleasure. Your reputation then becomes a currency more stable than gold. It's the sum of what people expect from you. A reputation for decisiveness means people won't test you. A reputation for keeping your word to allies and carrying out threats against enemies creates a predictable world where everyone knows where they stand. Pillar 3, the mastery of virtue and fortuna, the lion and the fox. The first two pillars provide the structure, but the third is the intelligence that directs it. This is the dance between virtù and fortuna. Fortuna is everything you can't control. Machiavelli pictures it as a raging river that can flood and destroy everything, or a fickle goddess spinning a wheel of fortune. It's economic downturns, natural disasters, new rivals, or just plain bad luck. A leader who only relies on money is a passive victim of fortuna. Virtù is the opposite. It's not virtue in a moral sense. It's the collection of traits that let you impose your will on the world. Courage, intelligence, cunning, ruthlessness, and adaptability. Virtù is what you use to confront and shape fortuna. Machiavelli believed fortuna governs half our lives, but she leaves the other half for us to control with our virtù. The leader with virtù doesn't wait for the river to flood. He builds dams and channels when things are calm, preparing for the storm. To explain virtù in practice, Machiavelli uses his famous analogy of the lion and the fox. A leader, he says, must learn to be both. The lion represents force. The lion can frighten the wolves. This is the first pillar, the foundation of force and the ability to be feared. You have to have the raw power to crush your enemies. But the lion, for all its strength, isn't very smart. It does not know how to avoid traps. This is where the fox comes in. The fox is cunning, sly, and can recognize deception. The fox sees the traps the lion would blunder into. This is the strategic side of virtù. It's the ability to negotiate, to use diplomacy, and to deceive when you have to. A leader who is only a lion will be powerful but reckless, and will eventually fall into a trap. A leader who is only a fox will be clever but weak, and will be unable to defend himself when the wolves come. A true prince, a master of virtù, knows when to act with the ferocity of the lion, and when to use the cunning of the fox. This is the highest form of power, the adaptability to use force, diplomacy, or deception as needed. The fourth principle, the modern Machiavellian. Applying the principles today. Studying Machiavelli isn't just a history lesson. His work has lasted 5 centuries because the rules of power are timeless. The costumes have changed from armor to hoodies, the battlefields from Italian plains to corporate boardrooms. But the human game of ambition, fear, and strategy is exactly the same. So how do you apply these pillars? Force, reputation, and virtù. Today, how to apply the pillars in business. Building your own arms. This means going beyond just having capital. It's about cultivating a core strength competitors can't easily buy. It could be a fanatical company culture like Apple's, a proprietary algorithm like Google's, or legendary customer service. A company that relies solely on marketing spend is a mercenary. A company that builds an unassailable brand or unique tech is building its own arms. Managing the economy of fear and reputation. In a corporate setting, fear isn't about terrorizing employees. It's about creating a culture of profound accountability. It's the fear of not meeting incredibly high standards. It's the fear of being unprepared in a meeting with a leader who is always 3 steps ahead. This is fear born of respect for competence, not cruelty. A leader who is loved for being easygoing will preside over a culture of mediocrity. A leader who is deeply respected for their standards and decisiveness will command a high-performing team. Just remember the key distinction: avoid being hated. That means no public humiliation and never taking credit for a subordinate's work. Mastering virtue. The lion and the fox. The business world is pure fortuna. Unpredictable markets, disruptive tech, and global shocks. The Machiavellian leader thrives here. They are a lion in negotiations, aggressively defending market share. But they are also foxes, forming strategic alliances, even with rivals, to counter a larger threat. They are paranoid, constantly gathering intelligence to anticipate the traps of a market shift. They know when to fight a price war, lion, and when to quietly settle a lawsuit, fox. This adaptability is their ultimate weapon. So, how to apply the pillars in personal life and career? First, building your own arms. Your career is your kingdom. Your own arms are your skills, especially rare ones. If your job can be automated or outsourced, you are a mercenary. The goal is to build a unique skill stack, a combination of abilities that makes you uniquely valuable. A programmer who understands marketing and communicates well has her own arms. She's not just a coder, she's a strategic asset. You must continually develop these core skills to become indispensable. Second, managing your reputation. Your reputation is your personal currency. Cultivate a name for reliability, competence, and integrity. When you say you'll do something, you do it. This creates fear in the best sense. People will be afraid to let you down because they respect your standards. You must also avoid hatred. This means steering clear of office gossip and petty conflicts. Your public persona, especially online, should be managed with precision. Show strength, but avoid arrogance. Third, mastering virtue. The lion and the fox. Your career path is a constant dance with fortuna. A sudden layoff, an unexpected opportunity. Your virtue is how you respond. You are a lion when you boldly negotiate for a raise, clearly stating your value. You are a fox when you sense a change in your company's fortunes and quietly start networking before the layoffs are announced. You are a fox navigating complex office politics. You are a lion when you take on a high-risk project no one else wants. Knowing when to be aggressive and when to be subtle is the key to thriving. The ultimate lesson from Machiavelli is that power is an active pursuit, not a passive one. It's a craft to be honed, not a commodity to be purchased. Money is a valuable tool, but in the hands of someone who lacks force, a respected reputation, and strategic adaptability, it's useless. Worse, it becomes a burden, a beacon that invites their own destruction. If this look into the harsh realities of power has challenged how you see the world, and you want more insights that cut through conventional wisdom, subscribe to our channel. We'll keep exploring the timeless philosophies that explain how things really work, giving you the knowledge to navigate it all more effectively. Click subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's next. We started with a simple, seductive idea that a fat bank account is the key to power. But through the cold, unflinching gaze of Niccolo Machiavelli, We've seen that this promise is a hollow one. It's a grand deception. Money, he taught us, isn't power. It's a tool that breeds weakness. It leads you to rely on mercenaries whose loyalty is for sale. It lulls you into a dangerous complacency. It makes you a tempting target, and it surrounds you with the poison of false love, blinding you to reality. True, enduring power is built on a much sterner foundation. It rests on 3 pillars. First, the foundation of force, your own arms, the strengths that cannot be bought or turned against you. Second, the economy of fear and respect, a reputation for resolve so strong that you are feared, but not hated. And third, the mastery of virtue, the adaptable intelligence of both the lion and the fox, able to wrestle with the chaos of fortuna and bend it to your will. Power isn't a destination you reach when your bank account hits a certain number. It's a continuous, dynamic struggle. It is the relentless application of skill, strategy, and will. Wealth can be lost in a market crash, but a reputation for strength, a mind honed by challenges, and a core of undeniable skill can never be fully stripped away. So, the final ruthless truth Machiavelli leaves us with is this: don't seek to be the richest person in the room. Seek to be the most capable. Don't build your fortress out of gold, which is soft and easily taken. Build it out of iron, the iron of your own skills, your own loyalties, and your own indomitable will. In the final analysis, it's not the person with the most money who holds the power. It's the person who has relied least on fortune and most on themselves,